everybody, and welcome to Fireside Forge. I'm your host, I'm Citrine, the Armored Sloth, and today I'm here with Tangle and our special guest, Sean Chiplock. Today's topic
What
is voice acting.
what
Yeah.
makes me special? Wait. I wanna elucidate on that. You call me special. Why am I special? Do we need to
You're,
have a discussion?
oh my gosh. You're special because you've been in a lot of projects and you have a lot of insight into like what's going on with the industry and things like that we don't necessarily have, and that makes you
Just coming
special.
in. This is Sean Chiplock. He's not like other boys. He's special.
Oh my goodness gracious. All right.
Uh,
So I have a list of questions that I wanted to ask, but also feel free to just yap. Like if there's something and you just want to yap
oh,
about it,
that's
I
gonna
will not stop
happen.
you. Yeah,
That's
okay,
gonna
great.
happen. Like every so often, I've had like a convention say, "Yeah, we're gonna do like a brief 15-minute Q&A," and I'm like, "Listen, man, if you ask me to give you my name, age, and occupation, that's 8 minutes right there." So
I said, how much time do you have? 15 minutes is
for
not enough.
real, for
Oh my
real.
goodness. All right, so I gotta ask you this question, and I know that like every voice actor ever gets asked this question, and you're probably sick of answering it, but I have to do it.
Yes, I am not
How
married in
did?
Maple Story, and yes, I will accept your request if you want to get married in Maple Story.
Oh my gosh. Close enough, but I was going to ask, how did you get started in voice acting? Because I know
Oh
some
God,
people try to
no
do
one's
it, and
ever
some
asked
people
me that
kind of,
before.
yeah, you know. Yeah,
So
I know, I'm
no,
sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. I like telling the story because it's a good test in consistency of like how many details change every time, or like maybe it's like a Q&A of Theseus of like how long after the first time I've been asked is my answer completely different from the first time I was asked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can find a chronology of like, oh, this interview must have been from this year because this is a different year from when he said he started voice. Anyway, this is the yapping part that I was talking about.
Yeah,
So,
no worries.
what got me into voice acting, quite literally, was boredom, Neopets, and Adult Swim. Uh,
Okay.
and a little bit of Maple Story. So this was way yonder back in the era of high school. It was right in at the end of the first half of my junior year. Um, and I assume you both are out of college at this point, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank
Okay.
God.
So do you remember that period of time during high school when they started really hammering into you that you needed to figure out what you were going to do at college because God forbid you went to a university and you didn't have your major picked out, you were going to die alone in a van down by the river because you wasted your first year trying to figure it out and now you're behind everybody else. Did you experience that?
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Right.
It was terrifying.
So I was in the position as it's funny that you go, he's special. Because I was part of the gifted and talented advanced curriculum college prep, which means now I
Ooh.
just spend the rest of my life feeling like I'm not good enough for everybody else. Anyway, um, I I was taking advanced classes. I was taking all these IB college prep classes, and yet none of these subjects were holding my interest enough that I was like, you know what? This is what I want to spend the next 4 years of my life focused on. Like pure ADHD of like, I don't want to do the same task for 8 hours unless it's a task that I personally enjoy doing. Um,
Mhm.
Math, I was fine with until pre-calc happened, and then I took the same pre-calc class 2 years in a row. Still did not remember a damn thing about it.
Ooh.
Uh, chemistry, I really enjoyed, and then they introduced something called the action line, and I went, wait, math, you have your own subject. What are you doing here? And math went, hello, and then we stopped being friends. Um, History, this is the biggest irony. History, I fell asleep in all of my classes because I was like, why do I care what dead people did? Uh, although there is an argument to be made about maybe I had the right idea because clearly nobody else cares about what dead people did back in the past.
Yeah.
Uh,
If
somebody
anything,
has
they're
to.
like, yeah, if anything, it feels like most of our government is like, the dead people had it right all along. Let's go back to when they were alive. Anyway, so none of these subjects were holding my interest, and I genuinely did not know what I wanted to do going into college. I had no idea what I wanted to focus on, and I was prepared to become one of those people who's like, yeah, I'm majoring in all of my general electives, and then I'll be like the bravely default freelancer class. Um, So because of that, because I was doing fine in my classes, but I wasn't really committed to it, and because I was very much a night owl, I was always the kind of person staying up super late. So like when Toonami would air or when Adult Swim would air every single evening back when it was like its own dedicated block, I would be up until, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning doing Maple Story and trying to cram my Neopets dailies. And then because I was on the East Coast and Neopets servers are on the West Coast, it would reset at 3 a.m. my time. So that's about when Adult Swim would start repeating its anime cycle for the night. So I would do my Neopets dailies and then go to bed anywhere between 3 and like 4:45 in the morning to wake up at 6:30 for school. And there was one particular evening where were any of you big Adult Swim Toonami people? Did you consistently
yes.
watch it?
Yeah, we were Toonami people,
Tsunami, yes,
definitely.
absolutely, yes.
Here's a potential deep cut, and I bring this up every time. Do any of you happen to remember this like advertisement campaign that happened in the late 2000s? It was like this very vivid neon pastel background, and this blobby character with the high-pitched voice was going, AdultSwim.com. You should check it out. It's got games and music. AdultSwim.com. Does that ring any bells for you?
Yeah, it totally does.
I actually don't.
Okay.
I just remember the voice.
I know you. I'm glad you know it's Citrine because it makes me sound less crazy when people go, "Oh, yep, I remember that." Anyway, is this like a PG? Am I allowed to like softcore swear on this?
We'll
We'll probably censor it out if it's too bad, but you can say whatever.
Okay. This little dude pissed me off, like, because it would air that at least 2 to 3 times every 30 minutes. And it's like when they have that top 40 hit single that they decide to play 5 times an hour.
Good Lord.
And I was getting fed up with listening to this guy. So what do you imagine I would do if someone is telling me to do something and I'm getting really annoyed with them talking?
Not do it. That's what I would do.
Wrong. I did exactly what he told me to do because I was so angry at him. So I was like, fine, I'm going to go check it out. So I go into adultswim.com and I'm browsing around and I'm playing some of the online games because, like, I'd grown up on Newgrounds, so I was used to, like, going to the game section of a website and seeing what they had and seeing if there's anything I could get addicted to. And in the meantime, I found it was like a little sneak preview, and it said, click here to watch a snippet of an upcoming episode of the anime Trinity Blood. Do you remember that anime series?
I've heard the name, but we haven't seen it.
Trinity Blood is if hot vampires hunted other vampires in the Vatican. So it was like very Italy coded, yes. Or where is the Vatican? Is that Rome?
It's in Rome, right?
Vatican City.
Okay,
Vatican City. Sorry to the Catholics.
There was very heavy themes of Catholicism, but it was also like Catholic vampires hunting bad vampires. It was pretty cool. Anyway, even deeper cut. And this sneak preview video was showing a clip. It was showing the clip as it said, but it would have little bubbles pop up. Do you remember like the MTV behind the music video things?
Is it me?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I mean, we didn't. I think we were a little too young for MTV.
Hey, can anybody hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Oh.
Are we good? Are we okay?
I can hear everybody. Do you need a second? Oops. We got some technical difficulties. Do you need to go like to fix stuff, or do you want to like leave the call and come back in, or can she hear me?
I'm good now. Now I can hear you. Everybody cut out for a second there. I just had to make sure that was okay. I'm sure it's fine.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I can hear you all now. We're good. Continue.
The Catholic vampires, go ahead.
Right. So MTV used to have this thing called Behind the Music Video, and it would play the physical or the visual music video that artists had made. But throughout the music video, little factoid bubbles would pop up with info about like the artist's, discography, or like what got them into the business, or like how long the song was on the top 40 charts and stuff like that. And this clip was doing the same thing where it was like, oh, Trinity Blood began as a manga series that was published in this year, or the artist is also known for these kinds of works and stuff like that. And one of the factoid bubbles took you to another video that was saying, it was like, watch this part of the clip being dubbed in the studio. And I was like, well, that sounds really interesting. So I clicked on it, and it loaded a different video that showed Troy Baker, back when Troy Baker did anime, in the booth recording for Able Night Road. And it was a 2-camera setup. Camera 1 was just on a TV that was like showing the clip that was being dubbed, and camera 2 was like an overhead diagonal top-down view of him in the booth. And it was pretty much exactly what you would expect from a recording session as I would come to learn becoming a voice actor. They did the beeps, they gave him the feedback and everything, but every time that they recorded the line that he was working on, it was a live feed. He was performing at the same time that the clip was playing. And I was watching this person, it was watching two things come together at the same time. They weren't putting on a filter. They weren't changing his voice. You know, he was probably putting an effect of like, oh, I'm starting to turn into a monster, or I'm, you know, activating my special power, so maybe I'm getting a little bit more serious and gravelly. But it was watching someone talk at the exact same time that the character's lips were moving. And it was just witnessing that happening in real time just activated something in me. And it was really ironic because I had been engaged in stuff like this without even knowing what voice acting was. I know this sounds stupid, but my brother and I would play Nintendo 64 games together. And a lot of those games back then did not have voice acting because there wasn't enough space on the cartridge. They hadn't figured out how to optimize it. So we would take turns reading out the lines and doing like charactery voices for it. And then when we were done playing, I would watch cartoons like Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack. And it never occurred to me that real people were doing the voices for these characters until that moment. And in this whirlwind of like college prep and all these people pressuring me to try and figure out something that I wanted to do for 4 years, telling me what I should do, this was the first time that I had seen something and gone, whatever the hell this is, I want to be involved with this. I want to learn more about it. I want to try it out for myself. It was like this passionate fire had just erupted inside of me. And that's just where it started. It was just that passion roaring into me. So that's really what got me started down that road. And then as I had opportunities to try stuff out, like during college, I got to help someone out with the senior thesis project where they needed, you know, a voice actor to do character voices for their game that they had made. And I loved every second of it. And the more I got involved with it, the more I wanted to do. And that's really what's driven the vast majority of my involvement in this career, is just this excitement and passion for the potential of what is it that I could do next? What adventure could I be a part of next? What character could I portray next? I don't know. And that unpredictability and that excitement is what drives me.
Nice.
That is a much more like
Yeah.
in-depth answer than I've ever gotten from anyone asking that question. That's incredible.
I just I like just going, nice. Okay, our next question is
that's really cool. I think a similar thing happened to me with animation in high school, where I was just trying to like figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I'd always loved drawing and making things move around, and I kind of had a similar moment where I was like, oh, people do this. Like, you can do this like as a living.
right.
Oh my gosh. Remember we went to see How to Train Your Dragon 2 in theaters, and
Yes.
you were like, I gotta make this. I remember
Yeah, that was the moment. That was definitely
Yeah.
the moment. Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even necessarily know why you're so drawn to it. Like, you can say, oh, I really appreciate the aesthetic, or, you know, I want to see if I can create this for myself. But at its core, there's just this sense of, I don't know why, I just get really giggly when I see this. Like, it just
Yeah.
excites me. It seems really fun. I want to be involved in it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
I totally
for
get
real.
it. I totally get it. Oh man. Yeah, that's so cool. That is awesome. And like did you end up going through, because like you've been at this for like quite a while, but the thing that I hear a lot from people when I ask them about like the process of doing this stuff is that like you audition for a bunch of stuff, but you only end up in like a fraction of it. So did you ever end up like doing that gauntlet of like, I keep auditioning and it's like it's kind of rough to, you know?
Oh, I still do it. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna find an example of. Let me see. I just have to find where I sent all these files and then count how many there were. Give me like 10 seconds. Do like a little Jeopardy ditty or something like that.
Yeah, we'll get the editor. Editor, put the Jeopardy
yeah,
music in here.
Oh my god, I
yeah,
talk
we gotta get Silver to
way
do that.
too much with this person. This is ridiculous.
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
god, I talk way too much with them. Okay, if I'm not able to find it, watch, I'll find it as I like give up. But there was a period. Oh, here we go. I just found it.
Oh,
There we go.
there it is.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I sent 14 separate character auditions over the course of about an hour and 15 minutes.
Holy
Um,
moly.
Ooh.
Statistically, how many of those characters do you think I will book?
Probably 1 or 2.
Maybe like 1 or 2, yeah.
0.
Oh.
Statistically,
Oh god, I feel so much better hearing that.
statistically, the most obvious, the most likely outcome is that I will not book a single one of those characters that I sent in for. Now, there are various reasons why I do it anyway, but like this isn't even a back when that used to happen. This still happens regularly, and in fact, as I've built up my reputation with additional studios, with additional clients, I get even more opportunities to audition. And especially because I pride myself in being what you would call a utility actor, which is I'm capable of doing lead or major roles, but I do have access to a pretty wide range of authentic voices that I can do or types of performances that I can do. So if they send me an audition that has 10 different character sides and they say you can send for as many as you feel comfortable with, if I find 7 or 8 or even 10 where I go, you know what? I can do something distinct for each one of these that is how I would portray the character. I will submit for all of them because I want to take as many chances as I'm given. So a big part of this career is learning to deal with that rejection. I would say it's hardest early on because when you're early on and you don't have that many opportunities, naturally all of them are going to be important to you, especially if you're someone who wants to do voiceover full time, you look at every gig as this is my one of 3 chances for the month to have a chance at booking a role. I can't screw this up. I have to nail this one. I want to have something to do versus, and I swear I'm not saying this to like brag or anything, but I understand now once you get to a point in your career where you are established enough that you have all these different opportunities coming from all these different places. I almost imagine that the goal is to have so many different auditions that you are sending out that you are literally mentally incapable of remembering everything that you sent out for. Because it makes it easier to send it and forget it because you're so focused on the next task that you're not so married to the one you're currently working on that you're overproducing it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I imagine when you have 1 or 2 character sides for the entire month, I did this. I fell victim to this. You like deliberate. You're like, oh, I have 3 or 5 different ways that I could portray this character. And I want to explore all these different ones. And oh, I like all these for different reasons. I want to send all them in, but they're limiting me to 2 takes. And what am I supposed to do? And now I'm in a position where I go, okay, I literally do not have enough time to do 4 or 5 different takes for all these characters. And I know they're not going to listen to 4 or 5 takes. So using my experience, using my cold reading skills, using my analytical abilities I've developed of looking at a character, looking at their script, I'm going to glean the info that they've given me, make a choice about what do I identify with this character or what is fun for me to do, what would I enjoy doing in the booth, and can I do one for myself and one that matches closer to what they're asking for if the one that I do doesn't already match, and that can be my 2 takes, and then I send that because I got to move on, I got to go on to the next thing. So that's how I deal with the fact that I audition so much and book so little because even though I book so little comparative to how much I audition, the fact that I'm doing this full time is not normal. It's not. I think the statistic is 14%. It's either 14% of actors or 14% of voice actors, which it doesn't get better either way, because if it's 14% of actors, then that's even less for voice actors.
Mhm.
14% of people in the acting industry work in it often enough that that can be their sole source of income. That means 86% of people who do voice acting for any form of payment have a supplementary or a side source of income because the voice acting alone isn't enough. I have been doing this full time since I believe 2013 or 2015. I don't quite remember. And that is a huge deal to me. So
Hmm.
even though I deal with a lot of rejection, I am constantly aware of how many people, even colleagues within my own industry, would kill to be in my position where they can focus so much on voice acting instead of trying to make time and make energy and make commitment for it on top of all this other stuff that's draining their social battery.
Huh. Well, that definitely
Yeah,
sounds
okay.
familiar as an animator.
Yeah. No, I've been there. Yep. I totally get it. Oh, man.
I'm sure as an animator, like you have to constantly battle with, hey, I really love the work that I'm doing for other people, but oh my God, when's the last time I've literally done anything just for myself? Like
Yep,
with
yes.
no set deadline, no, oh, I should do this because that's what audiences are really hoping to see, or this will be very popular on social media because I should do a Baldur's Gate animation because Baldur's Gate is really popular right now. When is the last time you have sat down and said, here's a really stupid idea I thought of the other day, and how funny would it be if I animated this?
That's so real.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, Tangle, when is the last time you did something just for fun?
I don't even know.
Yeah, we gotta get that back in you. Oh my
Real.
goodness gracious. Well, yeah. So you did mention how like dubbing was kind of how you discovered the whole voice acting as like an option for a career. But is that something you do often, or like do you actually prefer dubbing versus like interactive versus animation? Like, do you have a preference of type of project?
You mean like dubbing is in like dubbing to anime, or do you
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
anime specifically? Do you mean also like live action dubbing, like if it's a foreign film from Korea or China or something like that? Or
Yeah, I would say just dubbing in general because as I understand it, it's a little bit different of a process
sure,
for like
sure.
if you're doing interactive or and
Well,
you know.
the saying often goes that a smart actor or a smart voice actor, when they say, what kind of work do you take as an actor? That a smart actor goes, I will take any work that I'm a good fit for that doesn't compromise my morals or my ethics. Um,
Sure.
and what's really funny is, even though anime is definitely what inspired me to get into voiceover, and even though anime is kind of like where my upbringing came, I really wanted anime to be like a big part of my career. There was a point where it kind of hard pivoted into video games where like it really felt awkward. It was like, wait, all of my colleagues that I know personally or that I'm closer with are working in crap loads of anime, and I seem to be doing video games way more often. What's the deal with that? And I wouldn't say that I was bitter or jealous, but just that I was worried because it was like, why am I ending up on such a different path to the people that I trained alongside and grew up alongside, you know? Um,
Mhm.
and then between or especially when stuff happened like Crunchyroll merging with Sony or Funimation merging with Sony, and then Crunchyroll going, hey, we're gonna move everything to Texas and try to use everything in-house because we don't like what's going on with the union. This was relatively recent, like within the last 2 to 3 years. Anime in Los Angeles dried up for the most part. Like it
Hmm.
got bad enough that all but the biggest dubbing studios had to start laying some staff off because they simply did not have enough projects, anime projects coming in to keep everybody on staff to because they didn't have enough studios to fill, you know? Um,
Hmm.
so now here I was in the corner of the party room, remembering that a couple of years before I was like, why am I working in video games? I want to be doing more anime. Just kind of quietly sipping my vodka cocktail and being grateful that I was well known in the world of video games because that was still going nice and strong. Um, but to get back to your actual question of, do I prefer dubbing? I would say because of how I am as a person, yes, I prefer dubbing, mainly because I am a very visual or kinesthetic learner. I learn a lot better by seeing and doing than I do by reading. One of my early jobs when I moved out to California was I worked at a call dispatch center. And when I was just listening and watching the person field the calls for me, I was falling asleep at my post, and I was
Hmm.
supposed to do that for like 3 days before I was even allowed to touch a phone. And by like halfway through the second day, I was like, what's his name? who's Eric Andre? I was like Eric Andre doing the "Let Me In" meme. I was like, put me on the phone, put me on it. And, like I wanted to take the call because I felt like I was going to learn a lot faster from doing it and learning on the job than just watching it. And the same way applies for anime. I know that a lot of theatrical actors find anime and dubbing to be extremely limiting because your performance has to fit within the time frame and you aren't allowed to really chew words a specific way if the lip flaps don't allow for it. But for me, when I see what is happening on screen, when I see the intensity of the moment, when I see the character's expression, I empathize really quickly. I yes and really quickly. It's very easy for my brain to go, yes, this is my reality right now. I am in that situation. How would I react to this? How would the character react to this? How can I portray that through my voice? And I almost enjoy a lot of people describe it in the same way. They say, when you are doing a live action film or an on camera presentation, you have the benefit of the actor's expression, of their body posture, of their movements. All of that helps supplement the delivery that they're giving. But in voice acting, all of it has to be expressed through your voice. And not to say that I'm lazy, but I like when my performance can be helped by what's happening on screen,
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I don't know. I'm sure you all have seen things like if you've ever seen a movie that drove you to tears because of what you were seeing, or when you saw something that was really funny because of the comedic timing. That wasn't necessarily because of the voice acting, but because the combination of the stimuli hit you in a certain way. And I really like that aspect of multimedia entertainment. Of it's not just about the voice. It's about the moment, it's about the atmosphere, it's about the relationship between the characters, and I like being able to see all of that instead of just thinking about it. Um, of course, there are times when I'm recording for video games, and I like getting to really. When I think of Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, where there's some lines where I have to do it within a certain time frame, but there's a lot of lines where I'm allowed to take as long as I want. And I really get to play with the character's personality. Like my character in Grand Blue Fantasy, Lucilius, he is like an all-powerful god who has he gives no F's whatsoever for humanity at all. Like he just wants the whole world to be his plaything, and he's so bored with it all. And I really enjoy when I just get to talk about how little I care for you and all of your aspirations. And it's nice when I'm not limited to
Nice.
fitting that all into 6 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a time and a place for everything. But to give a short answer to that long-winded rant, I would say I personally enjoy dubbing a little bit more just because the more info I have on hand, the easier it is for me to make a smart, committed choice that fits the scenario. And I'm a golden retriever. I like when do good is happy for brain.
Yeah,
Yep,
that
makes
makes
sense
sense.
to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Man,
I
that's
remember,
like
oh,
oh,
go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. No, 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 go ahead. I did not have anything of value to say there. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, because like, I remember there was, like, a brief point where I wanted to be, like, a Funimation dub voice actor, and I would, like, watch the behind the scenes of, like, the actors trying to, like, time what they were saying with the beeps, and that terrified me, so I was
Right?
like, it's interesting that you prefer that.
Oh my gosh. And I have to imagine that most of the dub work is done in person, right? Or am I wrong about that?
Well, COVID did throw the doors wide open into the realm of remote recording, and it would be naive to say that it has gone completely back to the way it used to be. Unfortunately, as soon as COVID was declared over, and I say that with like the most over exaggerated quotation marks I can possibly make with my fingers,
Mhm.
um, there was a immediate and gradual slide back towards we are open to remote recording, but we prefer folks who can come in person. And there was various reasons for that. One is because if the studio already spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on on their state of the art equipment, obviously they're going to want it to get used.
Mhm.
It was also because if you have every person of a 20-person cast recording on the same setup, it's way easier for the engineer to balance everything versus if you have 20 people recording from their houses and now you have to make it sound like it all came from the same place. Um,
Mm.
I also personally enjoy going in person, Because for me, when I record remotely, I also have to be aware of like my gain, my microphone input, how close I am to the microphone, and I have to be aware so that I don't ruin my own take from a technical perspective. But when I'm in studio, there's a professional dude who's being paid to handle all that, and he knows what he's doing way better than I do, so I can focus entirely on my performance. So, all that to say, remote recording absolutely has more visibility on it now than it did before COVID. But I would hesitate to say that the game has significantly changed because once remote recording was not as mandatory, it definitely, I'd say that door went from like 5% open to 85% open, and now it's back to like 15%.
Hmm.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Well, you did mention because we were talking about dubbing and you were comparing it to like how you do a lot of work on video games. And you may have seen this question coming, but like I'm just very curious about this. And I think Tangle actually is too, even if she won't say it. So I think one of your most well-known roles is okay, well, some people would probably say Kinger, but Revali Breath of the Wild. Usually, like, if I'm talking to people about voice acting and they're like, oh yeah, and then this person was voiced by Sean Chiplock, and they'll be like, what? And I'll be
Right.
like, Revali, and they go, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what was the process like for you to end up getting that role? Like, because
So
Nintendo is like, huge, big company, and it's
this
like, was that like a roster thing, or like, how did that go?
this is such an interesting story because it is literally an example of both how this is just like every other job and also literally nothing has ever happened like this in the entire rest of my career before or since.
Hmm.
Um, and a side note that I want to add quick about you saying, I feel like what most people recognize as Revali. I would agree with you, but it doesn't feel like that because for example, how often on your social media do you see people talk about Call of Duty or Fortnite or Battlefield?
Yeah, okay, definitely Fortnite. I do
Fair.
catch a
Yeah,
lot of that.
Okay,
Fortnite.
well
Yeah.
let's do Call of Duty Battlefield. Fortnite we can probably I agree because that's a little memey. But how often on your social media do you see people say anything about Call of Duty or Battlefield?
Yeah,
Never. Pretty much
basically
never.
never. Yeah.
But how much does that game make every time it releases?
Yeah.
Some more
True,
billion
so
dollars.
much.
So I feel like Revali falls into that same realm because you're right. When I'm at conventions, what people bring up is Kinger, is D-Luke, is Subaru, is Draken, is Guido Mista. Revali I don't even think makes the top 5 at this point in terms of what people talk about. But as soon as you go into the greater demographic of like not necessarily people who go to conventions, but just the average American video game consumer, I would not be surprised if Revali is in that top tier, if not top 3. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
it's interesting that you bring that up because it's just one of those things of like, yeah, you're probably right, but man, it doesn't feel like it based on my own experience. But to answer your question about the process, so when I say this has literally never happened at any other point in my career, a couple years into having moved into California, and I really the only studio that I had built up repertoire with was Bang Zoom because Bang Zoom knew me from back when I competed in AX Idol and won the competition and kept in touch with them and let them know that I wanted to do, Walla or background roles once I moved to California. So I was still relatively new in their eyes, but I was building trust and reputation with them. And they send an email one day saying that a fellow studio, not a sister studio, not a partner studio, but literally just a different studio in the area was looking for actors for a upcoming video game audition. And if that we were interested to send an email to this email address to follow up with them directly. And when I say this is not common, I mean like you will never have, for example, Dubbing Brothers email you to say, hey, our rival dubbing studio, Sound Cadence has an audition coming up. And if you want to audition for their thing, make sure to reach out to their email address. Like that just doesn't happen. It never happens.
Hmm.
But I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? I'd love another opportunity. So I sent an email out to the other studio, which was Formosa. and they sent audition sides back, and they said, make sure you have them in by this deadline. And everything was codenamed. Everything was codenamed to hell and back. In fact, the way it was codenamed, I was convinced it was for a Dragon Quest game, because Dragon Quest 11S had recently come out. It was doing very well, and just the way some of the names were, and the fact that it was asking for like half transatlantic accent, like that kind of fake British that you often hear in high fantasy. I was like, this has to be for Dragon Quest, because it's gotten really popular on the West Coast, and they've started making more games and stuff like that. So I sent my auditions, and I sent them out, and I didn't think much of anything at the time. And a couple months later, while I was visiting my then girlfriend, now wife, for my one of 2 long distance visits for the year, they email me back and say, hey, you've been selected for callbacks for, I think, these 3 characters or something like this. Are you available to come in next Tuesday or something like that for a live audition? Alternatively, you could do it remotely if you're not able to come in studio. And around that time, they had released like the next like sneak preview trailer of what would become Breath of the Wild. It didn't have voices yet, but I thought back to the code name of one of the audition sides that I read. And I thought about the codenamed name that character said in one of their audition lines. And I went, wait a second. Wait a minute. Right. I was like, it was just that moment. It was because there were no voices in the trailer yet for Breath of the Wild when they were showcasing it. But it was that little spark of like, is it possible? And when I realized that, like, I had to make a choice in that moment, because I was like, if it's for what I think it is, there is no way in hell that I am going to take a chance on a remote audition on a laptop while I'm in the Midwest, halfway across the country with rocky signal. I literally cut my trip to my girlfriend in half and left to go back early. I had to buy a brand new plane ticket at full price just so I could be in studio again, so I didn't have to focus on the technical aspects of the performance. I could just focus on the character performance. And it was also a perfect example of, at that point, I had a strong inclination that it was going to be for The Legend of Zelda. And you think about, how could I have responded after realizing that? I could have gone, oh my God, there is no way in heck I am ever going to book something this big. Like, why do I even bother, right? But I took the other path, which was going, oh my God, could you imagine how cool it would be if I managed to be on a voiced Legend of Zelda game? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
So
real.
it is a perfect story that I tell of, like, that was one of those moments where I had to make a choice about how important this career was to me, because that audition, yes, it was a callback, but it was not a guarantee that I was going to book anything. And in fact, I want to do a quick quiz. Do you know the 3 characters that I voice in Breath of the Wild?
I do not.
Okay.
Actually, wait. Isn't like the Deku Tree one of them?
That's one. Do you know the other
Yeah.
2?
Yeah. Outside of that, I could not tell you, because like obviously I know that you played Revali, and I know that you played the
one of them when
Deku.
you said the question.
Wait, I did?
Or Tangle did.
Oh
What?
gosh, we might be stupid. Wait,
I may be dumb.
It starts with R and ends in Revali, the Ito Ampion.
yeah,
those are the
Revali's
2.
one of them. Yeah,
Revali,
but there's a
and
third
Teba.
one.
So yes, Teba, Revali, and the Great Deku Tree.
Oh.
Who do you think was the first of those characters that I was cast as?
Deku Tree.
It would be funny if it was a Deku Tree.
It was the Great Deku Tree.
Yeah.
You said that with confidence. But here's the thing. I almost never got to audition for him in the first place. Because when I came back for the callback audition, I had picked my 3 characters that I wanted to do. And the Great Deku Tree was technically the 3rd voice that I was going to do. But after I did the first 2, they said, that was awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. I went, whoa, hold on a second. They told me to prepare 3 voices. Could I do my third character audition? And they went, which one did you want to read for? And I said, I wanted to read for code name of character that would be the Great Deku Tree. And they go, nah, don't worry about it, buddy. I mean, we got all kinds of dudes with like really big dudes with big chests coming in, very deep voices. We've got that covered, but thank you. And I could have just as easily have gone, yeah, no problem. Thanks. I totally understand. Thanks for having me, and left. But I literally, like, professionally, I went, hey, totally understand. And if you don't care for it, if I perform and it's not doing it for you, totally fine. But I was asked to prepare 3 voices for my callback, and that is the 3rd voice that I prepared for. I would like to do my read if that's okay. And they were like, yeah, that makes sense. Go right ahead. And my performance ended up catching them so off guard that is how I ended up booking that role, because Teba, to my knowledge, Revali was already cast as somebody. It just ended up being recast during production because they wanted to go in a different direction and it wasn't working with that actor anymore. So
Hmm.
if I had just left that studio and not done that 3rd character read, there is a very real chance that I would not have been on the project at all, because Revali happened partway through recording for the Great Deku Tree, and then Teba happened when they went, oh, there's another Rito character that we haven't recorded for yet. Can you do something that is different and distinct from the other 2 that you've already done? So
Huh.
that's another example of like knowing your worth as an actor and knowing, like, taking a risk of going, I could just say thank you and leave, but I'm going to take my shot at going, I would like to be given the opportunity that I was offered,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's fascinating.
all of that plays into the I've literally never had this happen in any of my other jobs. But after that, when it came to actually recording, it is no different than any other job that I've done. I didn't go to Nintendo's HQ to record. I wasn't in the room with Shigeru Miyamoto or Reggie Fils-Aimé, or
Right.
Koji Kondo or whoever. I went to Formosa's recording studio in Burbank, and it was me on the recording side, and then on the other side of the window was the director and the engineer and maybe a client on Skype to just kind of review the initial recording session before signing off and completely handing it over. But from that point on, it's note for note, basically exactly the same as any other recording process that I've done. So
Hmm.
Oh,
I,
that's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
at that point, it's literally so much the same that, like, I don't have any further detail to give it. It's they show me the script and they give me a description of what's happening in the scene, and sometimes it's to video, and sometimes I'm just recording it wild, which is a term for we're just rolling and you deliver the line, and we'll let you know if we need you to deliver it a different way, and we see how much we can get through in 2 to 4 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's really interesting. Okay.
I didn't even know about the other 2 roles. I just thought you were Revali. That's news to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So just this technically isn't a question that I wrote down, but I do think it's interesting because you had mentioned like basically doing different voices for different characters. How important, in your opinion, do you think it is to be able to do different voices versus just like
It's not.
bringing your natural voice
It's not.
to?
It's not at all important. It's not at all important. Perfect example, Don LaFontaine. You know who that is?
Mhm.
That name sounds familiar.
In a world where
Oh, yeah, okay.
that man only had one voice ever. And when he died, he had so much content pre-recorded that it was 3.5 years post his death when they finally ran out of stuff he had recorded for in advance.
Holy
That
moly.
is that is how much he had done in advance, and he was known for one specific voice. Granted, I said that I have found my use as a utility actor, and I don't knock on anyone who voices lead roles more often or who has a specific voice print. Um, because I'm trying to think. Oh, do either of you know Keith Silverstein?
Yes. I
So
believe so.
Keith Silverstein, he has a I can't even do it, but he has a very specific voice type where it's got that natural kind of sexy gravel to it. Not like baritone gravel, but it's like that kind of smoky, weathered, like they've been through things and they've got that natural charm and charisma. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, and then Patrick Seitz has the very bombastic, very loud voice that he does. And they're very iconic for that. They tend to voice characters that have that type of voice because they do it so well. So I don't think it's necessary to be someone who can do a bunch of voices. And I host a panel on this where I talk about here's what successful people tend to exhibit. What I think you need to have in order to work consistently is a solid, incredibly solid idea of what your strongest uh, performance types are. It's good to have versatility because the more you are capable of covering, the more options people have to send you. But at bare minimum, what you should have is quality, consistency in whatever it is that you do, flexibility, and professionalism. There are countless stories of people who are just good, just solid, really good at their jobs, or even just decent at their jobs, who are working more than people who are absolutely stellar because they're available, because they're easy to work with, because the project team gets it done faster, and because they make the process smoother. There is I'm trying to think of there's one of the Spider-Man games. There was Spider-Man 2, the new one that came out that had Venom and Miles. Or there was Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then there was Legendary Spider-Man 2, whatever that just came out that has Venom in it. And I voiced a bunch of background ancillary roles like uh, guards and like thugs on the street and like police officers and stuff like that. And that opportunity came about. I never auditioned for that, but someone that I had worked with on literally adult visual novels for several years happened to be on the post-production team for one of those games, and they were talking about how they needed more folks to come in and fill in additional roles for like facility guard B or something like that. And this person goes, I know exactly who you need to bring in, because every time that I've thrown a different character his way, even if we don't end up going with him, he is able to provide options where, like, you know what, we could have used him if we needed to. So the team's like, sure, let's bring him in. And I impressed them so much with how quickly I adapted to the different levels of intensity and vocalizations that they needed, whether it was being electrocuted, being tied up, being socked in the stomach and stuff like that. That they basically used me for the entire first project that they hired me, and then pre-hired me for a project they hadn't even started working on yet, because they were like, this guy is so good, we know we're going to be able to use him on this next project that we're working on. So was I the best possible guy to voice a bunch of background roles? No. But I came in, I did the work, I was able to do what they were asking for pretty darn quickly, and I made their job so easy that they were like, look, even if there's someone who's even better at this than he is, we don't need that person because he gives us exactly what we're looking for in a timely manner. And that's the real goal, is you want people to go, I just want to work with so-and-so because it's going to make this a lot easier for me. That's the dream.
Okay.
Okay.
Because, like, I have to imagine this has happened to you, where, like, you're at a convention or something, and then, like, someone comes up to you, and they're like, oh, I know you from insert thing. I really want to get into voice acting, but I'm afraid my voice is too, scratchy, deep, whatever. And
right.
The response to that would basically be, it's not really about...
There is a colleague of mine who laments that they do have a very distinctive voice type. I would even call it, like, I couldn't even call it prepubescent, because like it's very distinct, and they lament often. It's like it's so hard for them to book roles because most clients aren't looking for a voice that distinct. But there's a project we're both recording on together right now where the character that they are playing, that voice, I cannot imagine any other voice for that character. It is such a perfect fit that it is iconic, and I'm honestly jealous that it fits the character so well, because my character, I feel like I know that I'm doing a good job, but I also know that I have to manipulate my pitch a lot in order to get my character voice where I need it for that project. And they just talk normally, and it fits exactly.
Ooh.
So no, I mean, it helps. It does help to have variety. It does help to have a distinctive voice. But I would say it's not as big a contributor as most people think it is. Whereas I think just being a decent, professional, reliable person does the mass majority of the work, like at least 70%.
Okay.
Okay.
I actually have a question, if that's okay, Citrine.
That's
Yeah,
too
yeah.
bad.
Oh.
I was gonna say, it's your
Dang.
podcast, so...
Everybody's so mean to me.
Oh my gosh.
I apologize if you were gonna ask this also, but I'm really curious, like, this is not really related to voice acting, but, like, from what I understand, you are a furry, and then how we got connected was through another furry friend of mine, so I'm really curious as to, like, were you a furry before the Revali thing? Because I know Jonah Scott kinda got dragged into it through the Lego She stuff.
Way before. Like,
Okay.
I would say it's in tongue-in-cheek, good-natured. But when I see like Jonah Scott and Ben Diskin get invited to furry cons and people are like, oh, we're gonna convert them, it's a voice actor who's learning about the furries. I'm like sitting in the corner going, you son of a, I have been here for the last 15 years. I'm right here. Like, I've got the suit. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
right?
I gotta send Anthrocon an email and be like, invite him.
No, I mean, I haven't been guest at Anthrocon. I've been guest at TFF. I've been guest at FWA. I've been guest at LVFC. I would like to be a guest at Anthrocon. I think that would be a pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh yes, so it was long before Revali. I would say even around the same time that I started going to college. Because there was a time when some friends of mine were like, "Hey, there's a furry convention happening in Novi, Michigan. Do you want to go like not rate it in terms of like destroying it and like making a scene, but like do you want to go sneak into it ironically and see what it's all about?" And I went, "Yeah,
That's how it starts.
ironically."
He's like, who would do that?
Who would do that, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And so but yes, I had always been enthralled for a number of reasons. One is just because I have a natural love of animals. I have two cats that I love very much. I'm very much subscribed to the like there's all kinds of awful humans, but there's never been an awful animal. Animals just do their thing. It's because I am always blown away by the sheer creativity that's within the fandom. I love that it exists in its own sphere, usually apart from franchises where it's like you have sci-fi conventions and you have comic cons that are heavily, heavily plagued by existing IPs like Marvel and DC and Star Trek and Star Wars and Harry Potter and all these things. And furry just kind of exists of its own accord, where there is overlap with stuff like Pokemon and Digimon and stuff like that. But most of the people who are there are independent creators doing their own thing. Most people's characters are not just them dressing up as a Pokemon, it is their original species or original character that is based on a species. And I like that sort of self-expression. I especially love the fandom because as someone who identifies as a cisgender male, I cannot think of any other space that is so openly welcome, not just to LGBT, but also to platonic or even slightly above platonic male affection, whether that's physical affection, whether that's emotional affection. You just don't see that in a lot of fandoms, and the freedom for men to build bonds with each other and be vulnerable and be emotional and to be affectionate with each other within the furry space is something that I cherish immensely.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
a good point. Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
think that we could stand to be a lot better on the female front because my partner,
Yes.
who is also in the fandom, who identifies as a cisgender female, I am so happy at the amount of trans representation that exists in the fandom. I want it to continue growing. I'm so glad that they have that space, and I don't want this to be misinterpreted. However, I do think that cisgender females still struggle a great deal when it comes to making friendships within the fandom, when it comes to meeting others of their kind, when I say cisgender female within the fandom, who share more in common with them. And even though it is very friendly to LGBT, even though it's very welcoming to as a male-dominated space, it is incredibly difficult for cisgender women to find that same sort of friendship or even romantic relationship, almost because it's like that space doesn't curate for them or keep them in mind when accommodating.
As
Yeah,
one of those,
Tangle
I
has,
would
yeah.
agree. I
was
would
gonna say.
absolutely agree. Like the furry fandom is very much like demographically just not us. And it can be
Right.
kind of frustrating because I would love to have more community like that, or at least like spaces where I feel like I'm not going to either be hit on or be excluded because I'm not an object of attraction. So
Right.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I was gonna say Tangle talks to me about this all the time. like,
Yes.
especially like we'll come home from a con and she'll be like, "That was great," except, but like
It's
overall,
it's something that I
Yeah.
observe. Like, it's not even my fault, but I observe it a lot when my partner is with me at events. Especially if I'm, parading around in suit or something like this, where folks will have a conversation with them, but if it's usually like if they realize who I am or if they notice, my character or something like that, we have witnessed over and over that she will just cease to exist. Like, they will be in the middle of a conversation with her, realize she's like, "Oh, I'm with Sean," and they're like, "Oh, do I know him?" And she's like, "Oh, probably heard him. He's been in stuff like Breath of the Wild." And they go, "Wait, Sean Chiplock, the voice actor?" And then they just drop her like a hot god potato, and it's embarrassing. It's
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really unfortunate, actually.
I
Yeah.
think I've experienced that to some degree only because, like, at the moment, all of the fursuits that I have in circulation are guys, and I think sometimes people will realize that under the suit, I'm not a guy, and then it's like the conversation kind of dies a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay,
That's
gotcha.
Oh, no.
that's me. No shame to anyone that crossplays, but that is me with so many suits that I'm like, oh my gosh, I think this is identifying as a female, and I am crushing so hard on them, and then the suitor ends up being a guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I have learned over the course of my life that even if I am bisexual as hell for furry characters, I am very much straight when it comes to humans because I don't like guy smell. I'm not attracted to guys, and so it's very much that like the photo Tata meme where like my eyes are really big and then a single tear sheds down my cheek where I'm like, oh, it's just a fantasy. Oh.
Oh
Oh my
my
god.
gosh.
Oh my goodness gracious.
That's hilarious.
And actually, Tangle, I'm glad that you asked that question that led to this because what I was going to ask was, do you think that like you being a furry or at least like openly involved with the fandom has ever like negatively affected your career in any way? Like, do you think anyone ever like you and is like, oh yeah, oh god, he's a furry? You know what I mean? Like, is that ever?
Not by anyone who matters. No.
Okay.
I've hosted panels on this before where I said to a certain degree, because we are so much social creatures, we look to others for key words or for references on how we're supposed to react to something. Excuse me, water burps. And I use it as an example regarding talking about the fandom. Like, obviously, you need to know your audience, you need to know your environment. If you are working in a place, or if you're in a situation where outing yourself as someone who's part of a fandom that is viewed as like, oh, it's full of perverts, or oh, that's a fandom that's associated with LGBT, and outing yourself like that would potentially put you in danger based on where you are. Exercise restraint with protecting yourself first and foremost. But in all other things considered, if you're in a neutral environment and someone says, so what were you up to last weekend? If I choose to respond with, oh, I was just going to this. It was like a pop culture fandom event, and I just wanted to see what it was about. But I'm not really into it. I just think it's really interesting because it was taking over that city. If you act embarrassed about it, you are cluing them in to saying what I was doing was embarrassing, and you should keep that in mind when speaking to me about this. Versus if you own it and you like, oh my god, yeah, I went to this event called Anthrocon, and I got to see all these people in incredible costumes, and I got these photos, like, look how cool this looks. More often than not, you're going to leave that person with this sense of, wow, that sounds really interesting. And even if, maybe they'll go, well, that's not my cup of tea, but I'm glad you had a lot of fun. And then they just go about their day. There's also the chance that they go, wow, that seems really cool. I want to be a part of that myself. Like, are there any events like that happening near me? So it's really about how you approach it. And I would say, when I see all the drama that happens online between people arguing about like the kink or the not safe for work categories and what people draw, or about especially the stupid discourse over poodling versus full suiting and stuff like that.
True. Oh my
it's
gosh, it's so
it's
dumb.
not even a discussion to be had. Like, all I have to say is there are literally people who want to be involved in the fandom who medically cannot handle being in a full suit because they would die of overheating. Like, they physically cannot handle being in a full suit but still want to take part. So by saying that poodling doesn't count, you are denying people access to a space that's supposed to be inclusive of everybody. Shut the hell up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with that. Or like, there's people who like have to take medication that reduces their tolerance of heat, and it's like it would not be smart for those people to full suit or
Yeah,
whatever, and it's like a
which
whole
is
thing.
literally my partner. My partner takes medication that one of the side effects is they don't sweat normally like people do. So they are very susceptible to sustained heat. Anyway, so all of that aside, the only weirdness I've seen from people going, "Don't you know that he's a furry? Like, that's what the hell?" Like, I almost laugh because the few times that I've seen people try to out me by being like, did you know that he commissioned this artist for like this work that's like really weird? Almost every time I see people responding they go, holy crap, he's based as hell. I can't believe that he spent money to support this artist in this community that's really underrepresented. Like, go him. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I,
All
I've
right.
I've definitely had the if you treat furry like a big deal when you talk to normies, it makes it worse conversation with several people.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah. No, I think I've been present for some of those too.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Okay.
imagine if we made it football instead. Imagine if you were someone who goes and like paints a letter of your favorite team on your chest and your stomach. Someone was like, "Oh, what are you doing later this week?" If you're like, "Oh, I guess I'm gonna be going shirtless to like a sporting event, and maybe I'll paint a letter on me, but I hope everyone else does the same thing because it'd be pretty stupid if it's just me there." Like even if it's not a bad thing, it sounds awkward. Like, did you feel a
Yeah.
little awkward the way I was describing that?
Yeah.
Versus you
Yeah.
think of the guy who commits, he's like, "Bro, we're gonna go to the Vikings game, and I'm gonna like paint a V on my chest, and we're gonna spell out Vikings and be like, yeah, go Vikings!" And you're like, "Listen, this sounds dumb as hell, but he is having the time of his life. You do you, bestie. You know what I mean?"
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta respect it on some
He's
level.
spending time with bros. Let's go. So it's all about how you approach it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I don't know how much time you have because I have like a couple more questions, but I don't want to.
I can probably fit them in.
Okay, great. Two more, and I'll leave you alone after this. Okay.
Okay.
So this is my biased question that I didn't tell Tangle that I was asking, but I am going to ask
Oh,
it.
great.
You might be able to tell I'm kind of a glitch fan, and profile picture, Jack's quote status. You kind of get it.
Tangle was related to anything, yes.
But yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of that, and I was curious because, like, I know that obviously you voice Kinger, and I know you voiced Thad as well, and I'm curious how you ended up in those roles. Like, was that also like a roster thing?
Well, Thad, I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure. Like, I think I auditioned for him, but I don't remember much about Murder Drones, so I apologize that that's such a short-winded answer on that. Kinger was fun for me because I auditioned for multiple people. I auditioned for Jax, I auditioned for Kinger, I also auditioned for the Gloink Queen, and even though I didn't book it, I was very proud of the voice I did for the Gloink Queen. Right. So, but Kinger, when they sent the audition sides, the reference for him was the crazy robot from the intro to Futurama. Did you ever watch Futurama?
I've
a
seen
couple
clips
episodes,
of it, but I don't
Okay.
think I've seen most of the show.
In the very first episode, when Fry moves into this super cramped closet apartment in the future, his roommate, basically the person he's sharing a single person closet with, is this very like manic robot who goes, "It's very nice to meet you." And Fry goes, "Oh, actually, we met once before." And the robot goes, "What?" And then he explodes like in the closet. And that was you can already tell where they got the inspiration for Kinger based on that.
Yeah.
But that actually made it awkward for me for a while because there's a number of people in the cast like Amanda, Alex, Melissa, who maybe they weren't known for this type of project, or for Alex, literally it was his first time ever voicing a character professionally, who had all of these deep levels of exposition and all this deeper understanding of their character. And I felt like the odd one out was like, I only booked this character because I could do a good impression of the character that they referred to in the audition sides. I'm not actually a good actor. I'm a good impersonator.
Oh,
Right. And so it was difficult for me to adjust at first and feel like I was truly part of the cast, but I've grown into it over time, and especially because the cast has been so welcoming and so inclusive. But yeah, other than that, like I said, when you get to the brass tacks of voiceover, a lot of it is exactly the same. Either someone comes to know me through a referral or through a workshop I did with them, or because I email them asking if they, have a talent roster that I can apply to, or they post one online that I apply to. And then when a project comes by that they need characters cast for, they will send out auditions to their talent roster, and then we just send our audition takes in to be considered for the role. And whether that's Murder Drones, or whether that's Breath of the Wild, or whether that's Digital Circus, it pretty much repeats itself ad infinitum. So.
Okay. So it's just kind of like work as usual for you, generally, regardless of the role. Okay. Fascinating. Okay. This is my last question that I had prepared ahead of time, but is there anything, because I don't know how often you interact with like people who do the whole like, okay, I'm gonna start voice acting, let me just start auditioning for stuff. But like, is there anything that you see newer voice actors doing that you were like, you would warn them against that if you could? Like any
Get your
common
bleep-
mistakes that
get
you
your
see.
bleep button ready. Get your bleep button ready.
Oh
Shut
gosh.
up on social media. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. Jesus. I mean, I say this as someone who would backhand my own teenage self if I could go back in time. But my God, the ease with which people feel entitled to comment on absolutely everything that happens and throw their own 2 cents into there, or especially, I don't know at what point we felt like the fandoms of projects that we are involved in deserve to have access to every facet of our involvement on that project. And by that I mean, like, when it comes to why a company is doing something, or a strike that's going on, or why we happen to not be recording for a character, or just like whatever drama is happening, that does not mean that just because they play the game that we're in, that they're entitled to know everything that is going on. A perfect example is I think it was when I'm trying to think of a good example that's not going to cause drama. Um, no, even now I'm about to be like, Sean, you're about to break what you literally just said. Like, you don't need to talk about it.
I want to hear it.
No,
Oh my
because
gosh.
because being involved in it in the past has made me have to deal with the fallout of like people targeting me, and I'm so past that. I'm so done. There
That's
is
valid. That's valid.
being as vague as I can right now. There is drama happening in the voiceover industry. I mean, when is there not? There is drama happening in the voiceover industry right now at the time of us recording this that I could easily say something and have it be relevant, but so many other people have already said it, and I'm over here going, I do not care to be involved in this. I want to just focus on my work. I will do what I need to do to protect myself, but I don't want to be asked about it. I don't want to discuss it. I don't want to share my 2 cents about it. I just want to do my own thing and not be dragged into this, because it is not worth my time and it is not worth my energy. And I wish I had had the forethought to do that more often. Leaving Twitter, leaving X, was one of the best things that I ever did for my mental health. And I just did it because of Elon Musk taking over, and I'm like, I do not want to actively give my info and data and support to a site that is being run by a neo-Nazi. But like the few times that I go back every so often to check because someone linked to an X post that was funny, I'm like, let's see what else is going on. There is just so much anger and hatred and pooping on each other and insulting things and sarcasm and satire, and just like everyone wants to be angry all of the time. Everyone needs to be angry about something. Everyone needs to be on a crusade about something. And I don't know how I ever made the time and the energy for it. So to wind this all back, I am grateful. I am genuinely grateful that my dumb ass got involved in its own version of drama and got in trouble over things when my career was still growing and I was young enough that I could have time to grow past it and go, hey, that was really stupid. I need to make sure I don't do that again. Versus what happens with stuff like, you see these people like having things dredged up that happened 10, 15 years ago. And I'm not talking about stuff that was like actually monstrous. Let me be clear. Like, if you
Mhm.
took advantage of people, or if you like used a position of power in order to exploit someone, that is horrible. And I condemn that all, 10 ways from Sunday. But if it's
Yeah.
something like I said something inappropriate, or I acted in a really immature way, or I said a word that I definitely should not have said, or I was engaged in something that I should not have been engaged in, and I haven't done that since, I am despondent about the fact that people will just revive it as many times as they see fit, because there will always be a new audience. There will always be people who weren't aware of it before then and are discovering it for the first time. So my message to people is, social media can be your friend. It can also be your worst enemy, and it can be your biggest source of stress. So if you plan on being a professional in an industry where you are going to be expected to interact with other people, where you need to have like a public facing brand, pick your damn battles and figure out what's worth fighting for, because I will never stop shouting about trans rights. I'm never going to stop shouting about, remote recording being acknowledged, about actors with disabilities being acknowledged. But not every single piece of news needs my commentary, and not even every single piece of news involving my industry needs my commentary. And there are certain things, and I think of the most recent video game strike as a perfect example. There's a number of things in my industry that the average online person should not have any involvement with. Their opinion should not matter. Their presence should not be welcomed. It is not their business. And I think that too many people in my industry and in a lot of industries make it the business of people who should not have been included to begin with.
Okay.
Yep. Fair enough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's wise,
I've
I
definitely
think.
seen some of that. But
Oh yeah, you see it in the furry fandom all the time. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Oh
for
my
sure.
God. Oh my God. What was it? Something like about a person named Bear who like was rejected from a furry room party, and they made
Yep.
made a
Oh
big point of, like
gosh.
posting the video. Like I have not done the research. I have not done the research because I don't care to get involved in this. But if Bear was a Nazi, or if they were a racist, or if they were doing something pretty abhorrent, and the group is saying we don't want you, okay, fine, I understand. But if all of this is because Bear did something awkward and now they don't want him around, so now they're humiliating him on social media, shut the up, please.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no,
I
that's real.
absolutely appreciate how like I asked that question expecting you to say something about like, you know, microphone settings or like booth setup, and instead you're just like, shut the on social media.
No, there are listen. I'm gonna be as vague as I can because I'm sure anyone who listens to this is gonna clock immediately what this is about. There is a project that ended up doing a number of recasts, and I will never know because it's not my business and no one is going to tell me. But it seems like there is a correlation between the people who were recast and who was beefing with randos on social media more than everybody else. I would put money
Ooh.
I would put money on the bet that even if there were a number of cast members that were, you know, in a difficult position, that were, you know, feuding with the company, that the only people who got actually replaced were the people who went online and started fighting with fans and started insulting them and having arguments because now you were attacking the people who support and fund and finance the game that the company is making. And that is a perfect example of all you had to do was shut the up and you'd still have your job. You know, it wasn't even anything like this company is exploiting their workers. It was literally stuff like, you don't know what you're talking about and you're stupid and you should shut up and I know more than all of you and don't talk about things that you don't understand. Just don't say anything. If you know and they don't, then you don't need to educate them because the people who do know are in your industry. They're the ones that you're working with. None of these people on Twitter or Blue Sky or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok are sending you your checks. They don't need to know.
That is real.
Oh my
That is
gosh,
real.
that's such a good point too.
Man,
Oh my gosh. But yeah,
So,
man.
yep.
there
That's
is-
pretty
you
much
got- you
yeah.
got it. You got me to angry rant. So I hope that I didn't make a fool of myself in the process.
Oh
No,
my
you're
gosh.
good.
No, I think
You're-
that's perfectly reasonable.
I think that's
Look,
good social media advice in
I'll-
general.
I'll
True,
capstone
yeah.
it with this. Do you know Deborah Wilson?
I do not.
I don't think so.
You don't. Deborah Wilson has no social media presence whatsoever. Deborah Wilson is also in practically every AAA game you can possibly think of, if not being motion capture recorded and having their likeness used in every AAA game you can possibly think of. Do you know D. Bradley Baker?
Yes.
Mm.
Because D. Bradley Baker is extremely prolific, has voiced basically every creature in existence. How often do you see either of them posting on social media?
Never.
You got me there. Yeah.
My armchair psychologist opinion is that the people who are posting the most online are the people who are not working very often because they're not busy enough to not be able to post online.
Real.
Fair, okay, fair enough.
It's
Oh,
part of why because I've had people ask like, Sean, I feel like you know a lot about voiceover. Have you ever considered like, would you mentor me? Would you ever teach a workshop? And I go, workshops are inherently hypocritical because if I'm working as often as I want to be working, I literally don't have the time to teach workshops. And if I have the time to teach workshops, that means I'm not working enough. And if I'm not booking enough, maybe I don't know enough to be teaching workshops because what I'm doing isn't booking work. So
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
never even
that makes sense,
considered it that
actually.
way, honestly.
Yeah.
someone this is I'm not gonna go into this from a drama perspective, but literally there was a post made like yesterday about how in voiceover specifically there is a very unique pipeline, a very fast-tracked pipeline between when actors are working professionally and when they start to move laterally into also teaching workshops. And I agree with the notion that there are a lot of actors already offering workshops that I don't know if they are as qualified as they should be to be taking other people's money and teaching them what to be doing to potentially find success in the career. I am extremely grateful to be working as often as I am. And even I do not know if I'm a good educator. I can talk about my process, but I don't know if I have what it takes to listen to someone's own experience and curate the knowledge in a way that they can apply without following my exact process step by step. And it worries me that there's so many people teaching workshops where I look at their portfolio and I go, I don't I don't think you work this genre often enough. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, all right, rant
Hmm.
over. Rant done.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
no.
about that in terms of animation now, and I'm like, huh, okay.
He said maybe some of these people shouldn't be instructing.
Hmm.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
I okay, you got me on it again.
Whoops.
It's also because I had a personal example way back when. This was like in 2007, or I would say 2011, something like that. There was a workshop that I took with somebody for a specific genre. I'm gonna again keep it vague so no one can figure out what it was. And throughout the workshop, I just had this just between the chat interactions and what this person was teaching, it felt really weird to me. Just something felt off, where I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with this, or this wasn't what my experience was like. And I should have done this before the workshop, but after the workshop was done, I decided to look up this person and their portfolio. And the last time they had worked, I mean, maybe their credits hadn't been updated, but the last time that they had worked on a project that matched the genre the workshop was about was 3 years ago. And
Hmm.
I'm like, and it just made me go, okay, if it has been 3 years since the last time you worked on a project in this genre and you are a actively working voice actor, I don't know if that's a good sign. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is something that sat with me where it's like, I think people who teach certain workshops should be like when I take Disney animation workshops, I make sure I'm taking them with people who are in like 3 of the 5 most recent Disney animated shows that everyone's talking about. Like I'm gonna take a Disney animation voiceover workshop with the guy who's in Big City Greens and The Loud House and something what's the frog one?
Amphibia.
Amphibia. Yeah.
Amphibia. Like those were all relevant at the time, and this person was voicing named characters in them. They probably understand what the company is looking for in their modern day project.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense to
that
me.
makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah,
Hmm.
that's really all I had as far as like questions that I had written out ahead of time. If there's anything that
Uh,
you wanted me to ask that I didn't, but you want to talk about, feel free to do
Also,
so.
I realize we just kind of like dragged you into a Discord call. So if there are any questions you would like to ask us, that's
Yeah.
also fine.
Oh, that's a dangerous question to
Oh,
ask me because they'll be like, "What's your biggest regret? Like, what's
oh my
the
god.
one thing in your
Art
what's the one
school.
thing in your life you'll never art school?"
Yeah.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
now I have a bunch of debt that I am struggling to repay, even though I did learn a lot.
Oh,
Mm,
oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
right. No,
Oh.
I didn't have any other questions. How do you feel about the answers? Do you feel like you got the content that you were hoping for?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
did.
Like
Yeah.
me being a person who's like, I'm really, really passionate and fascinated and interested in voiceover as like an industry and also just in general. So I'm like, I love sitting down with people who have experience with it because you can kind of get like it seems like every voice actor has like a very unique perspective on like how they got there and what they like to do and benefits and drawbacks and risk and advantage. And it's like, it's all very interesting stuff. So like, I'm super happy about how this went.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And thank you so much for being willing to come on here because, I mean, practically we are nobodies, to be honest. So it's very,
No,
very
no, no,
kind of
no.
you to do that.
One of the biggest things that I try to do with my career is to break down this notion of a barrier between myself as the professional and the people as the audience or the supporters. Because when you think about how are we holding this interview? Where are we holding it?
On
Discord,
On Discord. What is Discord?
chat
Chat app.
client.
Yeah.
Someone had to code it. Someone had to put in these features. Someone had to design the microphones that we're using. Someone had to, put in or install the wires that provide us the electricity that we're using in order to run this in the first place. When I'm at a convention, the convention can only happen because someone built that building. A bunch of people volunteered their time to put the convention together. So, like, I just happen to be an individual who has a career that is more public facing than most. But that does not suddenly mean that I am more important or that I'm more of a celebrity. It just means that what I do happens to have overlap with a lot of other people's lives. But that doesn't make your job any less important. That doesn't make you any less important as a person. We're just folks sharing our passions.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that actually.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
I
very
wouldn't
kind.
have I wouldn't have the platform to share my insights on my career and these jobs and my anger at social media if it wasn't for you two inviting me onto the platform that you created in the first place. Because not like I'm doing a podcast. We don't need more cis white males doing podcasts, okay? Uh, so it is by you putting in the effort to create your platform and then offering your time and space to me to use it. Like, that is your specialty, and that is something that I am grateful for.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Oh,
you.
wow. I'm so inspired now. That's so
Seriously,
cool.
wow, inspiration. Just a podcast away. It's almost here. Just one
Yeah.
podcast. Inspired. Wow.
Just a week away.
Just a
Oh my
week
gosh.
away.
All right, Tangle,
Uh,
did you have anything else before I hit the
uh,
outro?
there's some shop stuff, but we can talk about that after, just because it doesn't really need
Okay,
to be in
great.
the recording. It's not that important.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm going to hit this outro really quick. Here we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, like the video. If you like the video, you should subscribe because we definitely want to do more interview stuff in the future, and also definitely some animation stuff is coming out in the future, so definitely be excited for that. So if you like the video, like the video. If you dislike the video, keep it to yourself. Everyone's social media, including our guest, will be in the description. There you go. I guess
Yeah.
we'll see you next episode.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening.
All right. Bye-bye.
That's
Let
great.
me
If you don't like our video, keep it to yourself. We don't need to know.
Yes, exactly.